What's the most unforgettable thing your mom did for you? I left school thinking the hardest part of the day was over, but halfway home I got surrounded by 15-year-old boys, and all I could do was run as fast as I could. It happened on a Thursday, school had just ended, and I was walking home alone like I always did, and the sun was still out, so it was supposed to be safe. But just a few blocks from our house, I saw a group of older boys hanging around outside a corner store, and they looked like they were just talking, so I didn't think much of it. Until one of them stepped in front of me, and then another, and within seconds they'd surrounded me. So I tried to move past, but one of them grabbed my backpack, and another whispered something disgusting in my ear, and they laughed every time I flinched. One pushed me from behind, just enough to throw me off balance, and the other started shouting filthy things in my face, and I froze. But then someone yelled from across the street. A guy on a bike, maybe college-aged, yelled at them to back off, and they turned toward him, angry, so I ran. I didn't look back, but I tripped and fell hard into the mud near someone's garden wall and scraped my knee and tore my sleeve, but I kept running. And by the time I got to our house, I couldn't breathe, so I pushed through the front door and collapsed inside. And my mom was in the kitchen, and she came running, but I couldn't speak. I just shook and cried. She didn't force me to talk. She just helped me clean up, gave me juice, and told me to lie down for a while. And after 2 hours, she came in with dinner and sat quietly next to me, and then asked me to tell her what happened. But once I started, I couldn't stop, and told her everything through broken sobs. What they said, what they did, and how many there were. And she listened to every word, and asked if I recognized any of their faces. And I nodded, and said 2 of them. And she stood up and grabbed her keys and called for my older brother. He came from the garage, still wiping grease off his hands, and asked what happened, and Mom didn't answer, but looked at me, and I repeated it all again, with my voice barely steady, and my brother clenched his jaw the entire time. When I finished describing the 2 boys I recognized, he told me he knew exactly who they were, and that was it. But Mom grabbed her purse and told us let's go. And we drove to the first boy's house just before sunset, and my mom started knocking like she owned the place. And his mother answered, looking surprised, then annoyed, and Mom told her what her son did. But instead of reacting with shock or concern, the woman rolled her eyes and said I was probably making it up, and that boys would be boys, and I must have misunderstood. But then she started shouting, calling me names, and saying we were trying to ruin her son's future. But my mom didn't back down, and told her she had until tonight to bring her husband and son outside, or tomorrow she'd go to every police station in the city. Then we got back in the car and waited, and 2 hours later, they came out, and the dad looked confused, and the boy didn't say a word. My mom walked right up to them and asked if this was the boy who touched her daughter, and turned to me and told me to slap him, but I froze and my hands shook. But she raised her voice and told me to do it now, so I did, with one scared, trembling slap, and started crying again. So she pulled me aside gently and told me it was okay, and then turned to him and slapped him hard across the face. So the dad stepped forward and told her that was enough, and Mom turned calmly and said he was right, and then took off her sandal and hit him with it, and told him he forgot to raise his son, so she would. But that wasn't the end. That night, my brother left the house without saying a word, and came back 20 minutes later with the second boy, and he dragged him off the front porch in his socks. But my mom sat him down in our living room and said nothing, just stared, and he cried and begged to go home, and she waited until he stopped talking, and then asked for the names of all the boys. And by the end of the weekend, we had every single one, and Mom made sure each family knew what their son did, and some got grounded, and some were kicked off the sports teams, and some, like the one who touched me, had to leave the neighborhood completely. And now I don't think about the street much anymore, and every time someone asks me where I get my strength from, I just say I get it from my mother. But how about you?